Hello students, in this video we will start with the chapter Cell Structure and Microorganisms. Now children, do you know what are cells? Now cells are the building block of living organisms. We all are made up of cells. In this chapter we will be learning about cell, their size, their shape and how living organisms are made up of cells. Now children, cell is called as the building block of our body. Now for example, if you have to form a sentence. So first alphabets, we join the alphabets to make word. Then we join the different words to make a sentence. In the same manner, if we have to write a paragraph. So alphabets are joined together to form word, then words are combined together to form sentences, and different sentences are combined together to form paragraph. Then these paragraphs are compiled in chapters. These chapters make books. Same way, in our body also, the main important, the basic thing which is there, that is called as the cell. It is the first functional unit in our body. It is the building block of our body. So now these cells, they combine together and we get what? We get tissues. Now these tissues, they combine together to form organs. Now in our body, we have different organs. We have heart, we have lungs. So different organs are present in our body. So these organs are formed by when tissues combine together. Now these organs, when combined together, then organ system is formed. Now what is organ system? Now for example, in our body we have respiratory system, we have digestive system, we have excretory system. So there are different systems which are present in our body. These are nothing but the organ system. Together all the organ systems which are present in our body, they form what? They form the human body. So that means indirectly what? We are formed from what? We are formed from a single cell. So that means our main building block is what? A cell. Now if I talk about a wall, okay, so a wall is made up of what? Brick. One brick, two brick. We attach many bricks together to make a wall. Same way, if we have to make a human body or an animal body or any living body, so one cell, it combines and the human body is formed. Now, there are few scientists who were involved in the discovery of cell. So, the first scientist was Robert Hooke. So, Robert Hooke actually discovered the cells first. He observed a beehive under the microscope and he found what? There are hexagonal compartments. If you will see a beehive, how hexagonal compartments are there. In the same way, there were hexagonal compartments. There were small compartments which were all attached together. So then these compartments were called as a small room, and in Latin word they were called as cella. Then in 1838, two scientists, that is M.J. Sheldon and Theodore, they formulated the theory of cellular structure, and then they told us that what are cells and that we living organisms are made up of cells, and it is the main fundamental unit of our body. Then in 1985, Rodolph, then he came up that all the cells are formed from pre-existing cells. So that means if a new cell has to be formed, it is formed from the existing cell which is already there. So from one cell we get two cells, then those two cells will form four cells, then from four cells we'll get eight cells, and so on. The cells keep on dividing. Now, how do we observe cell? How do we come to know that how cell look? So for that, we need to observe the cell under the microscope. You can even observe the cell under compound microscope or an electronic microscope. But if you observe the cell under compound microscope, you will come to know the shape. But if you have to observe what is there inside, then we need an electron microscope. Now, how does a microscope look? So this is a microscope. We have an eyepiece here. Here you have to keep your eyes, and from this the light is reflected, and here we have the lenses. Whatever lens, there are different, like 40x is there, then there are 100x is there. So different amount of lenses are there here. Whichever objective you want to see under, for that you can select. And then here is the main base. Here we keep our slide where we have these cells, and then from here we then see how the cells appear to us. So this is called as a compound microscope. Now there are various measurements. For example, 10 millimeters is 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter is 100 micrometer. 1 millimeter is 1000 micrometer and 1 micrometer is 1000 nanometers. So these are few measurements which are used for organisms if we measure the organisms. Now, why do we use microscope to observe the cells? Because you cannot see the cells with your naked eye. You need a microscope because it magnifies it. Now we can even observe the onion cells under the microscope. So for this we have to separate the thin skin from its concave surface with the help of forceps, and we have to place this on a glass slide. We can even add few drops of water and a stain. Either we can add iodine or eosin so that it gives color and we can actually see the cells. As with the stain it gets color. And then when we observe under the microscope, we will see that there are many compartments which are formed. Here if you will see in the D part, you can see there are many compartments which are there. And these compartments, these are one cells which are present. So that means all cells are together attached in an onion membrane. So as onion is also a living thing, it is from the plants are living things. So all the living things, they are made up of cells, and even plants are made up of cells. Now the cell size differs from the type of cell. So there is a great variation in the shape of cells. The shapes are related to the function. So for example, if we will see the cell of an amoeba, so it do not have a shape. It can take shape of anything. Then we have red blood cells which is present in our body. So they are oval in shape. In this way, there are different cells which have their own size and shape. Now cells are of different shapes. For example, it can be circular, it can be rod shaped, it can be columnar, it can be spiral, it can be rectangular, etc. Now each of these cells, they contain different components which is carrying the life process of the living organism, and these components are very important, and these components are called as the cell organelles. So inside the cell we have different organelles which are present. Like in our body we have different organs for functioning. Same way in each cell there are different organelles which are present which have their role. Now cell can be of two types. It can be either plant cell or it can be an animal cell. Now children, in multicellular organism, there are two types of cells, an animal cell and a plant cell. These cells, they contain various types of organelles which are present inside. In plant cell, we can find some organelles which are not present in animal cell. But what things are present in both? First of all, if we talk about cell wall, so the cell wall is the outer covering of the cell and it is present only in plant cell, and this cell wall is absent in animal cell. So in animal cell you will see that there is no cell wall. Next we have the cell membrane, or you can also say as the plasma membrane. So the plasma membrane, it is a delicate flexible covering which is present, and it is the outermost covering for the animal cells. So the plant cell have the cell wall and the cell membrane, but the animal cell have only the cell membrane. Then inside you can find many organelles are present, but all these organelles are embedded in a substance that is called as the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is the liquid part in the cell which is present around the nucleus, and these cells which are present. So if you will see here, the entire cytoplasm is present all around. Here also the cytoplasm is present. So we have cell wall, cytoplasm inside and a cell membrane which is present. But here we have only cell membrane and inside the cytoplasm is present. Then we have the other organelles. Here, like you can see, the nucleus is there. Here also nucleus is there. Here we can find this big hollow structure is there, and here very small structure is there, that is vacuole. So this is the difference which is there in the plant cell and the animal cell, which we will be seeing that which organelles are present in plant cell and which are not present in animal cell. So let's talk about the organelles of plant cell and animal cell. First, we will talk about the nucleus. So nucleus is present in both animal cell also and in plant cell also. Now nucleus is the most important part of a cell because it controls the cell. All the functions of the cell is controlled by the nucleus only. Then we have endoplasmic reticulum, which it is attached to the nucleus only. It is like a net-like structure. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. We have smooth ER and rough ER. Now these endoplasmic reticulum, its function is to make necessary changes in the proteins which are produced by the ribosomes and send them to the Golgi bodies. Now Golgi bodies is another organelle which is like a flat sac-like structure which is there. Now these Golgi bodies, they help in the distribution of the proteins. Then next we have the mitochondria. Now mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. All the energy which is produced, this is produced in the mitochondria, and that is why it is called as the powerhouse of the cell. Now one thing you have to remember, that in plant cell, one thing is present that is called as chloroplast, which is absent in animal cell. So now what this chloroplast does? So this chloroplast is important in photosynthesis because it has chlorophyll in it, and chlorophyll we have learned that it is important in photosynthesis. But in animals, we do not have chloroplast, and that is the reason, children, we cannot prepare our own food. But plants can prepare their own food. Now one organelle you must have seen, that vacuole. In plant cell there is a huge vacuole which is present, and in animal cell very small vacuole is present. Now why is it so? Now plants make their own food, so that means more amount of waste is generated, and as more amount of waste is generated, so to store the waste substance they have a larger vacuole. Now we animals, we cannot prepare our own food, so in our body very less amount of waste is generated. So that is why the vacuoles which are there, they are very small because our cell do not perform photosynthesis, and that is why the less waste product is formed. So this is the reason why we have smaller vacuoles and plants have larger vacuoles. So these are the organelles of plant cell and animal cell.